Do you struggle to make decisions or sometimes even have an opinion about something? I know I was like that for a period of time. I talk to people every week that struggle with this. They tell me about these situations where they're just like, I need to make a choice, maybe about my life, maybe about my relationship, maybe about anything. And I freeze. What's going on? I totally hear you. I've been there. I've had so many times in my life where I was just like frozen in indecision. And we can be in this situation where it's just like, okay, our brain is spinning and spinning and contemplating all these different possibilities. It's like, well, what if I do this? And what if I do that one? And okay, what do I get the ticket on Sunday? And then do the thing here, like for traveling, like an airplane ticket. It's like, oh, do I buy the airplane ticket on Sunday? And then I go to this location and I spend 2 days and do these things. And then, or do I wait until Friday and the next week and I do this other thing? Someone invites me to go to a event, it's not a birthday or anything where I feel like huge obligation to. It's just like a cool thing. It's like, oh, it's a symposium on Egyptian history. And my friend invites me and I'm just like, do I go? Do I not go? I don't know. Or more difficulty. I talk to these people that say, I'm here. I'm in this place. I am struggling to figure out the next chapter of my life, which direction do I want to go? Do I want to quit my job? I don't know if I want to quit my job. Or maybe they already have quit their job and they say, what do I do next? Like the lack of finances is beginning to become stressful. I know I need an answer for that. And it's like, do I just take another job that is miserable and eats away at my soul and I'm not happy doing it just to get some security of stable finances? Another one we'll see is people that are like, I'm with this person and I like them and we get along nice. It really is enjoyable. We really do have a good time together, but there's just, I don't feel satisfied here. This is not a position where I really want to be. And I don't know if I should end the relationship and break their heart and step into an unknown where I'm not in relationship. It's not like I've got someone sitting on the side, or maybe you do, right? Either one of those, it happens. But it's just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to break this person's heart because I do care about them, but yet I've got my own needs and desires that are kind of not really in alignment with this relationship. And I don't want them to feel bad about themselves. I don't want them to feel like I'm unhappy with them or judging them in any way. It's just that like this isn't working out. But the idea of coming to that point and sharing that with a partner is so triggering, so overwhelming, so terrifying that they freeze. All right, let's explore this a bit. We look at this situation and we can ask some questions. It's like, okay, when it comes to this moment where you need to make a decision, you need to make a decision. What happens? And the description we frequently get is, I shut down. I don't know. Like I've got all these ideas in my head, but then when I start getting close to the decision, just like there's this freeze that kind of comes over my system and I feel like I can't move. I've heard people describe situations where they go catatonic. I've seen situations where someone goes catatonic, come to think of it, where it's like this big decision is dropped in front of them and they're just like, and they sit down or they lie down or whatever. And it's just like, they become completely immobile. Their nervous system is in such a state of activated freeze response that it is preventing any action. That is a trauma response. I hope that's obvious for people by now. A degree of freeze response of that magnitude is obviously coming from some kind of unresolved trauma that's living inside the nervous system. Okay. So at least we've got that much info. Let's explore that. What could possibly be going on? So zoom out a little bit and take a look at this situation, and you're less like, oh, okay, freeze response. Freeze is in response to threat. Okay, so there's something about making a decision that is creating a threat, or the idea of making a decision. So this person just doesn't like making decisions. This person's just indecisive. This person just has, pick your psychological label, bipolar, narcissism, ADHD, la la la, dismissive, avoidant, whatever. Pick your label. This happens all the time. People will just take a psychological label, slap it on that person, and be like, this whole problem is happening because they are blah, identifying, pathologizing. No, don't do that. Unhelpful. We want to get to the root of it. We want to understand what's actually happening here. A decision means you need to take a stand. Making a decision means you are at a fork in the road and you've got to choose one way or the other. And if you choose one way, the other one is no longer available. So there's possibility that you got this FOMO thing with fear of missing out, that if I choose this way, I'm going to miss out on something that was on that other path that maybe I actually wanted more. You see that often in people that are struggling with this with relationships. It's like, I don't really like this one, but if I end this one and then I go that way, it's like, what if he gets better? And, I don't want to be alone, blah, 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 right? So that's one possibility, fear of missing out. I don't want to make a decision because as soon as I make a decision, I've cut myself off from one potential path that I could have been on if I chose differently. Okay, that is possible, and that's kind of something we can explore. But there's one that's far more common than that, and that is, in order to take a stand, in order to choose, to make a choice, you have to expose yourself. You have to get to the point where you say, I made that choice and I'm responsible for that choice that I made. No one made me make that choice. That's something that I chose. Ooh, for some of us, that'll be very scary. And we can kind of test for this we can say, okay, we can kind of test this by asking a question. We can say, do you ever have situations where you procrastinate and you delay and you freeze long enough that kind of someone else decides for you? Maybe it's the universe, maybe it's another person, maybe it's your boss, whatever, that some other power reaches the point where the decision gets made for you. Does that resonate? If that resonates, now we've got new information. That new information is, there's a strategy being employed here, which is push the responsibility for making the decision down the road long enough and someone else will do it for me. Okay. Well, that kind of suggests it's not FOMO anymore. That's not being driven by fear of missing out. That's being driven by something else. That's being driven by you don't want the responsibility sitting on your shoulders of being the person that made the decision. Okay, now we've got more info. And let's dig into that a little bit and say, okay, here we are. We're going to put you in front of a small group of people and everyone's going to show up and you have to decide for the whole group which path you're going to take. And you've got 30 seconds. How much stress does that introduce into your nervous system? How much anxiety, how much trembling, how much brain spinning, how much shutdown do you experience? Probably a lot. Okay, so now we're going to make a big leap so you can see the connection. We're going to in cases where I've seen this happen, including myself, we will see a very, very strong correlation to a childhood, ages 0 to 3, where you have a disciplinarian, an attachment figure, a parent, whatever, that was very black and white, very critical, and strong on punishment. Really? Look for that. So far, in people that I've worked with on this particular issue, the hit rate on I struggle to make decisions and a parent that is extremely critical and will punish with dire consequences, that hit rate, that connection is probably 100%. So the way I see it, this is the outcome of that formative years with the extremely critical parent and strong punishment. Your nervous system learned and now is completely attuned and optimized for this idea that if I do wrong, there's going to be punishment. If I don't get it right, the consequences that are smashed into my face will be so dire and so scary and so threatening, I freeze. And if we have that kind of dynamic, then we're going to say that dynamic also has a very strong correlation with perfectionism. So you can kind of see how these two go together, right? You've got perfectionist tendencies. If I'm going to do it, I need to do it right. I need to pay attention on little details. I need to be meticulous. I need to think out all the different possibilities, and I need to practice or work or try until I can perform and I can do it right. I can do it right to my satisfaction. Is it really your satisfaction? Or is that the satisfaction of the parent's voice that lives inside you right now? Don't know. But it's worth exploring. So I can't make decisions and I struggle to even have an opinion is oftentimes driven by a fundamental, deep-seated survival mechanism that has been adopted and adapted and optimized inside the nervous system to prevent punishment, to avoid situations where that horrible punishment is going to crash upon me. That if I can just dodge it and be like, oh, that's not me, that's brother. That's not me, that's sister. Oh, I didn't have anything to do with this. That was my teacher or boss or this idiot kid at school. It's like we get to this point where you'll do almost anything to dodge the responsibility, because as soon as that disciplinarian can bring this focus to you and say, you're the cause of this, and now I'm justified in bringing all my wrath. That's terrifying for a child. It's terrifying for most adults. It's definitely terrifying for a child. And that nervous system will say, I will do and say anything to avoid that terror. I don't know about everybody else, but I can say that in my own journey, one of the things that situation did is it made me an exceptionally good liar. And I figured out how to, I'm not proud of that, by the way. And it's something that I've worked past in my life. But as a child, 4 or 5 onward, until I was off on my own, it was something that I knew I was acutely attuned with the state of my nervous system. I learned how lie detectors work. I literally would go to the library and study how lie detectors work to try to be oh, I need to develop the skills inside me to fool a lie detector. Because I'm if I can fool a lie detector, then I can fool dad. Does that make sense? Not ideal for the healthy development of a child. Maybe if we want those skills. I don't know who wants those skills other than the CIA. Yeah. So this whole thing about I struggle to have an opinion and I have difficulty making decisions and I freeze up when I'm making decisions, we boil that down and kind of pull up the rug on all these things, and we can get to this point where it's just I am terrified of punishment. I'm terrified of the consequences for a bad decision. I do not want the responsibility on my shoulders. I want to dodge it in any way I can. I'm going to blame it on other people. I'm going to procrastinate and try to prevent it, having some arbitrary deadline that crashes upon us and somebody else makes that decision. Then it's oof, I feel good. I feel free. I don't got to worry about it. My stress level goes down. It's just And And then someone's like, oh, well, because that you waited too long and that deadline happened, then all these terrible things are going to happen in your life. Your credit score is going to tank. You're going to not be able to get into that university. You're past the deadline. You won't get that job. Blah, 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 all those kinds of things. And I can tell you from personal experience, you're being like, wow, that sucks. Life is unfair. But underneath that, you're saying, sweet, I didn't have to make a decision. Right? It's like the stress of making a decision is more stressful than realizing that you just tanked your credit score. Whatever. So what do we do about it? That means we need to create situations where we can train our nervous system, our subconscious, inner child. We can train our nervous system to believe that we can make a decision and still be safe. One of the things you'll see here a lot is that it's like, yes, you're afraid of punishment. Yes, you're afraid of this negative consequence that's going to come upon my shoulders suddenly. But you realize that the thing that leads to that point is the opinions of this other person. Like, I don't want dad to think negatively of me, because if dad thinks negatively of me, then there's going to be the hand or the belt or whatever. So that optimizes the nervous system to be extremely vigilant about what other people around me are thinking of me. Are they thinking positive? Are they thinking negative? Like, if someone thinks negatively of me, there's going to be threat. There's going to be terror. There's going to be this terrifying punishment that gets smashed into my face. So the nervous system optimizes for that. Begins moving blood flow and chemicals and neuroplasticity around and doing all this stuff to basically develop acutely sensitive awareness of what other people are thinking about us. And then their opinion of us means the world. I can think highly of myself every single day, but as soon as there's another person in the equation that might have the ability to judge me negatively, suddenly their opinion is 1,000 times more stronger than mine. This is the heart of codependence. This is, I need you to approve of me in order for me to feel okay. And that's what this is all about. My inability to make decisions, my inability to have a strong opinion about anything, this bendy, flexible personality that I've developed that can kind of bend over backwards and fit into any situation and work hard at like smoothing the social situation. That is a manifestation. That is a manifestation of my codependence. That is a manifestation of my hyper-vigilant attunement to the thoughts and opinions of everybody around me. And that part of my brain is always going, so it will create a lot of fatigue. It'll create a lot of tiredness. It'll create a lot of motivation to isolate, to stay inside and not interact with people, because I got to save energy that way. Is this tracking? I hope this makes sense. So what do we do about it? We have to desensitize our fear of punishment. We have to desensitize our fear of social judgment. We have to train our nervous system to believe that people can think negatively of me and I can still survive. I'll be okay. Now, there's a way, an approach to do that, which is beyond the scope of this video right now. I talk about it in many others. But just understand that that dynamic is coming from a underdeveloped relationship with self, and it is operating as a fear response. Solve the fear, the response changes, and suddenly you'll realize, oh, I can make that decision. In fact, I don't have any resistance to making that decision. I can stand in front of these people and some will adore me and some will despise me, and I can still be okay. I can take criticism smoothly, elegantly, with graciousness and gratitude even sometimes. And it does not destabilize me. That one critical message that sneaks through the door or shows up on a YouTube comment or whatever does not shake my core. I'm not like, oh my God, someone out there hates me. I feel so bad. And it's like bad things are going to happen. No, that goes away. So if you want to work on this problem of decision making, opinions, handling criticism, this is the way. I hope you found this helpful, and I bid you all the peace in the world.